Let's go.
Let's go. We are live now. Episode 8, I believe, of the West Ham Media Tour. Today we have the one and only Jas the Hammer at Jas West Ham. What's up? How you
Cheers.
doing, man?
Yeah, having my rum, mate. The first one of the week in celebration of coming to your new show. So yeah, I'm doing well. Big historic day tomorrow in our history. Big game.
Yeah.
So got 2 tickets. I'll be going with my son
Uh,
tomorrow, and yeah, we'll talk. Sure, we'll talk and
yeah, we'll
touch upon
definitely
that
be talking
subject
about
today.
that.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a little bit excited and a little bit just hearing, all the regular news about selection injuries and our good friends Zuma and Cats and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk all about that. Maybe not Zuma and Cats, but
No,
the
no, no, no.
injuries and selections we'll
Yeah,
surely
yeah.
get into. But before we do, I always like asking people how they got into West Ham. Everyone's story is different. So, how did you become a West Ham supporter?
Had no choice. My father was a West Ham United sort of
Yeah.
regular guy who kind of went in the mid 70s. I think he came to the UK from India in the mid 60s, and he tells me that he wanted to find out who Bobby Moore plays for. So I assume he watched the World Cup final. He wanted to know who he played for. He found out it's West Ham. He lived in West London, so West to East London wasn't a bad journey for him. And he's very strong like me. He always sort of it planted West Ham in all his children, and we didn't have a choice, didn't want one. And he's the kind of dad that if we came back and said, Dad, we support Liverpool, he just wouldn't have it. And I'm the same. So we both carried on into my kids are all West Ham now and usually come with me. So no choice, wouldn't want it. And I think it suits my mad character in our family. And yeah, that's the reason, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, simple but effective. That's beautiful. I envy you all that were born over there and that were instilled with it from an early age. Um, and yeah, it's amazing to hear those stories.
So I'm not. So we're not from East London, which is again quite interesting for you.
Mhm.
Like 80% of them are. We are from West London, so West London to East London by commute is good just under 2 hours, I would say.
Mhm.
So as a little kid, I couldn't go because my parents were working. So
Mhm.
I wasn't one of those that you speak to that often say we're from Canning Town. We could walk there in 15 minutes when we we're 10 on our own. My mums would say bye. My mum wasn't going to let me get on a subway 1 or 2 hours across the city on my own. So because all my friends were West London, which means they were Chelsea, they were Brentford, Fulham, QPR,
Mhm.
Liverpool, which is a national team, Man United, but West Ham not so much really. So I could only go with my dad. I think 16, 15 when I started going. So that's just a little bit more sort of story, really. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Well, let's actually talk about our favorite club, shall we? Obviously, a big match, arguably probably the biggest match in this club's history since the 2006 FA Cup final. Um, got some injuries, Jess. Got some injuries. It's been confirmed what we all pretty much knew that Jared Bowen is not going to be suiting up to play tomorrow. And then sounds like Nikola Vlasic was out last game. Seems like he's going to be okay. But the two that I think are really in question, and David Moyes is really being hush hush about, are Mikel Antonio and Aaron Cresswell. Will we see them tomorrow, Jess?
What I'm hearing, especially because I kind of listen to a lot of things sort of ex-employee says as an example. What I'm hearing is that Bowen is out for Sevilla and Spurs,
Hmm.
which is awful news. He's our one of our number one players recently, really in form. What I'm hearing is that Creswell, Vlasic should be okay.
Hmm.
Antonio should be okay. Or Antonio's 50-50, sixty
Hmm.
forty. But Bowen is out for sure, what I'm hearing, which is none of us wanted to hear. And it is difficult when, like in the show, we're going to talk about the likely lineup. It's difficult, isn't it, when you don't know whether these stories are true or not? I can only go by what I'm hearing from reliable sources, and what I'm finding out is Bowen is out because it is a some kind of broken bone in his foot, which you can't quickly get over that. You just have to wait for it to heal. Um, Antonio wasn't sure because I was at that game at Villa when he went off. I wasn't sure what happened. He went down, he carried on for a few minutes, and then he put his arm up again. And Monday was like what they call it, grade one, and now they're saying we should be able to patch him up. I think, which you shouldn't really do in that kind of injury. Do you want to lose him for the rest of the season, or do you want to
Right.
patch him up? Vlasic should be back, I think, and Krezi should be back. So that's what I'm hearing, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
let me ask you this, Jess. Let's talk about Antonio first. It seems like no matter what, whether he plays or not, he's not going to be quite 100%, at least from sources. So assuming that that's the case, assuming that, maybe he'll be 70%, 80%. I mean, do you risk him? Do you put him out there, risking him, knowing his injury history, risking him for further games down the road? Um, or do you just say, you know what, screw it, we're not going to risk it, and let's put in Yarmolenko or someone else? What do you do?
I think every case is different. And with Antonio, before I sort of mention what we should do, is if you look at his season, it's been very frustrating. Up to around November, unbelievable. Top of the scoring charts, doing really well. Last 15 games, very, very poor.
Hmm.
Maximum 1 or 2 goals in 15 games. That's not a good show in the Premier League. It's been a funny kind of season. And if you look at the strikers, they're all having poor seasons. Lukaku, Ronaldo, compared to his standards, understand he did score a hat trick, but people like Dini and Antonio, they're still up there in the scoring. It's been a weird season, mate. I mean,
Hmm.
Vardy's been injured for most of it. So Antonio, for me, the last 2 weeks, he's been a little bit better than he has been showing more intent in terms of running down the channels, winning the ball. And we must all accept now. I don't think he's our striker anymore. I think when him and Bowen on the pitch, Bowen certainly is more central more than him. He's frustrating the fans. He's running down the channels. He's crossing in, taking corners, free kicks. Is that a striker? Not sure if he is. So for me, mate, having said those things and the up and down season he has had, I would not risk him below 100% fitness.
Yeah.
Some players are so good; they are great even at 80%. He's not one of them, mate. Even 100% fit, he's iffy for me this season, and I would not risk him. No.
Yeah. And we had a poll as well. If Antonio was healthy though, would you play him? Like if he was 100%, would
Oh
you
yeah,
absolutely play him? Okay.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
we don't have anyone else, do we? Really,
Yeah.
especially that we are feeling and assuming in today's show that Bowen isn't going to play 100% fit. Yeah. If not, no. Because even 100% fit, he still frustrates the fans. I mean, him and Banrama are like a Marmite. They split the fan base. Because I just want to say one thing before we carry on. I was at the Villa game live, and I know the stats will show that Fornell scored and Banrama had 2 assists. But let me tell you, both of them together were average at best, mate.
Yeah.
Average at best. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And even David Moyes' comments reflected that. Talking to now Cresswell though, I am interested in your opinion. If let's say he's not healthy and he cannot start, I think there's a couple options that Moyes would have. He could either just slot Masuaku in there at left back, or he could move Johnson over to left, and then he'd have to probably put Fredericks in at right. Out of those two options, which one would you which one would you choose if Cresswell was deemed unfit to play?
First, I want to talk about Johnson and say there's rumours that he's not committing to a contract, and I feel sorry for the guy because his best natural position is a right back, which he's rarely played for the club, and I think that's out of order from David Moyes. I mean, he's frustrating me a little bit, David, because he's obviously got a few favourites, a few people he always takes off rather than someone else, and with Johnson, I don't think it's healthy to constantly left back, right back. And even more than that, when Kufal was fit and very much out of form, he carried on with Kufal. He wouldn't play Johnson. And now Kufal's injured, Johnson's in, and now he's left back, he's right back. If you were Johnson, I'd be like, what the hell's happening to me? So for me, Johnson, you need to give him a run of 6, 7 games as a right back. So if Creswell isn't fit, again, like you said, it's a dire situation, and that is the only solution, isn't it, mate? It's Fredericks at right back, or Johnson at left back, or is it Johnson back at right back? Masuaka left back, and none of those are great solutions for playing Sevilla. I mean,
Yeah. It's almost like we
oh
need depth, Jess. It's almost like we need a deeper squad almost,
man,
huh?
oh god, for me the summer window was, considering Zuma came in and saved the whole window, mate. And even after Zuma coming in, I think it was only 55% successful window. We were short
Yeah.
by 2-3 because you got to consider Crowl. You virtually might as well think he hasn't signed, mate.
Nah, he's not coming back. Yeah.
You know, he
Yeah.
hasn't really done much, and one or two of the others has
Well,
not done
I'll show
anything.
you
Yeah,
what the people say. A vast majority say if Cresswell does not play, you move Johnson to left back and put Frederiksen at right, as opposed to putting Masuaku in there. I have to agree with them. As you mentioned, neither situation is great. And that's why if I had to pick one of the two, Antonio or Cresswell, to be fit, I'd actually pick Cresswell, just because I think he's that important to our defense. But you just can't put Arthur Masuaku in at
that's the
left back, right?
problem.
You just
That's the
can't do it.
problem. Yeah, but then Fredericks. Oh my god, I watched him. Oh my god, when he came on, he had two clear chances to slip it into a man, and he just couldn't. He's totally gone, mate. He totally lost it. Even if he's standing by himself and there's a player, your player, and the other player, you will not find him. He totally lost it. The contract running
Yeah.
out. There's rumours out there that's saying that he's Rice's best friend at the club, and that's
Yeah.
why they're considering keeping on for a tad. But mate, we're carrying so many players for a team that are fourth or fifth in the league. 4 or 5 of them should be nowhere near the squad. Fredericks, Masuaku,
Right.
one or two players like that. And it's David Moyes' fault. He's done all the hard work, laid all the foundation down, and frustrated the crap out of me. And I backed him so much at the beginning, and now I'm tearing my hair out, mate, watching what he's doing. He's throwing it all away. It's difficult. Yeah.
Well, he could give us a boost if his side wins tomorrow. It's going to be a tough one against Sevilla, obviously. Sevilla, I believe, second in La Liga. We played all right in the first leg, I think. It was just one sort of lapse of concentration on that set piece gave them the goal. But the tie is still very much in play. All we need to do is win the match, which sends it at least to extra time. What are the keys, Jas, to success tomorrow? What do you think, based on the first leg and based on recent West Ham performances, what needs to happen tomorrow for us to be talking about the Europa League quarterfinals?
I just want to quickly say, in the first leg, I thought we missed a trick. They were below par. We should have got a minimum draw. Vlasic miss was
Mm,
really, really bad. Tomorrow, the biggest key for me is going to be off the pitch in terms of the atmosphere, the fans that they're going to create at the ground. And the home leg being second is a big advantage. And we had that advantage, if you remember, because we were group winners.
right,
And the good thing is there's no away goals. And thank God there's no away goals, because we haven't got any away goals.
right.
So being at home in that final leg, and them having a lot of people not missing last week, I can't imagine when you're missing so many players. I don't think a lot of them can come back in a week. I doubt it. Maybe one or two. I'm not sure. So the first advantage and the first thing has to be right. The atmosphere inside the ground. I'm hoping that the club, sometimes they do provide, like Leicester City, these little flags, little leaflets, something to totally ignite the ground and make it as hostile as possible for them.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. The second thing is we've got to, I know it's a cliche, we need an early goal, don't we?
Yeah,
To make them more nervous, because they're going to sit back. And there's two stories of Sevilla. They're second in the league, very much a home team. Away, they're average. They conceded the least goals, I think, in Spain out of the whole league. I think if you look at it, but we got beat. How many? We had 2, 3, 4, 5 chances last week, so we got behind them.
yeah.
It's something.
Vlasic's chance and Lanzini's chance stick out to me on that one.
It's a shame, because Kunde didn't like facing Antonio, so that's a shame. He didn't like facing him. I think Antonio gave him a bit of a torrid time. So
By
yeah,
the way, Jas, you are correct. They have given up the least amount of goals in the Liga.
I think it's a ridiculous amount, and
19 goals in 28 matches played.
absolute. Yeah. So the first thing is the ground atmosphere, the fans. Second is attack. Have a get an early goal. I think formation. We know it's going to be 4-3-3. I think. Who slots into where? I'm guessing Vlasic. Antonio, if he makes, I think David Moyes might say, can you do one half for me? Can you play one half? I think Yamalenko's got to come on. and play. I think him, Vlasic, Antonio. The only then Lanzini, Benrahma. I'd stick Benrahma in there, mate. Benrahma, Rice, and Souček, and then Fornal. Sorry, Rice, Souček, Benrahma, Antonio, Vlasic, Yarmolenko up front. So Lanzini, Fornal's on the bench for me, mate.
So where would Yarmolenko fit? Right wing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Vlasic on the other side. Vlasic his time has to arrive if it's going to be at West Ham. He's got to do it. He's got to do it. Otherwise, time's running out. He's got to tomorrow. Imagine he gets the winner. It'll totally change everything what we think of him and his career. So that's my feelings. I think Lanzini, he's been missing those gilt-edged chances, and Benrahma, I think, is younger. Hopefully, got a better engine in him. And tomorrow, I think the back four is quite strong normally, especially the centre backs, and our goalkeeper should be. And Rice is world class. Souček's world class. We've got to mix it up a bit. I think someone didn't agree with me yesterday. I felt we've got to play more long balls tomorrow with Souček getting at the end of them and Yarmolenko's height, and hopefully. But someone said, no, that's not our strength. I agree it's not, but we've got to mix it up tomorrow and try what we can.
Yeah. Interesting. I do think that if Antonio doesn't start, Yarmolenko will start up top. That's my opinion. But I don't see Benrahma starting, and this is me predicting what Moyes will do, not my starting 11. I don't see Benrahma starting. I do think there's a bit of a tiff between him and Benrahma. Fornals is his guy. I think Fornals starts. I still think Lanzini starts in the middle up top, and then you're probably going to get Vlasic on the left wing. If he's not 100%, then maybe Benrahma. Rice and Souček will sit in front of the defense, and then I think you'll see Johnson, Zuma, Dawson, Fredericks, and then Areola. I think that's what you'll see.
Yeah, we never know about Bowen, do you? But the news that we've heard is fairly.
Don't hold your breath, Jas.
It's reliable.
He couldn't put any. The thing that scared me, man, is he couldn't put barely any weight on that ankle. And they can talk about how the scans are inconclusive and the scans aren't showing any broken or torn, and that's great. But I've had a bad sprained ankle before, and it could just be a sprained ankle that keeps you out for a month. Those bastards are really hard to get rid of. It's hard to get the swelling down. It's hard to. I mean, the guy's not even training, so there's no way he plays tomorrow. I would love it, but there's no way.
If you remember, there should have been a stretcher out for him. He had to slowly go all the way across the ground. That was dreadful. There should have been a stretcher out.
That's true. That's a good point. I do agree with that.
Absolutely terrible.
I'm really interested in your take on this, Jas. So we're in the round of 16 in Europa. We won the group. Yes, we didn't go on a deep cup run, but we won a couple games in each cup. Yeah, probably ideally a little bit farther. Currently 6th in the Premier League. And I feel safe in saying that a majority of West Ham fans would have taken this scenario back in August. Do you think at this point in time it's been a successful season? And do you think that it's going to be a successful season no matter what happens? If yes, why? And if no, what does West Ham have to do from this point on to ensure that it's a successful season? Do we need to make a Europa League run? Do we need to make top 6? What does success look like in 2022?
I think before we answer yes or no, I think where we are in the league at the moment, it's below where we were last year. And certainly the year before. So this is our kind of 3rd season. We're kind of under David Moyes. The momentum's been building. And what I've seen in those 2-3 years is we've comfortably not been scared of anyone in the league, and we've beaten everyone. Spurs, United, Chelsea, City in the Cup, Liverpool. We've done them all. And when we've played them, we've matched them man for man, and more teams, especially Villa coming here. Villa was scared, mate. I couldn't believe it. I thought you're going to attack us. We're there for the taking. We've got so many players missing. Gerrard kept them falling over, wasting time. So this is the kind of reputation we're building at home. Teams are scared. We're very physical, very fit. Everything we wanted our club to be before David came in. So for me, where we stand at the moment, it's slightly behind what we should be, because we should look at, there's two West Ham fans in the world, one who are used to not winning or doing well, and they're happy. Yes, nice. At least we're not at the bottom. Then there's people like me who've had enough. I've supported West Ham since 1983. We've won nothing. And I am just had enough. And I'm thinking of the group of players we had, two good windows. I know, we would have been comfortable where Arsenal are. When we beat Liverpool in November, we were miles ahead of Arsenal, Spurs, not even thinking about these clubs. And since then, due to the Zuma injury and the poor window and the poor window again, we've let these clubs catch up, and it's frustration time for me. This is a very different Jas to what you would have seen 2 years ago before David Moyes. I was always cautious, backing our club, clapping at every small thing we did. But now I'm greedy, and I've seen. So for me, where we stand at the moment is slightly. We finished fifth last season, 2 points behind Chelsea. And that's because we didn't have a Rice replacement. We would have got Champions League last season.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 points were the ones, I think, at Everton and one or two others when Rice was injured.
Newcastle.
Yeah, one or two. I know it's hard to pinpoint where you made or lost, but for me, we're so lucky Lingard came in and made that difference. And if he'd come in January, we'll be where Arsenal were. So for me, we're slightly off it. And there's one or two tricks clubs have played this season, like with the COVID. Arsenal have played a very crafty game.
Mm-hmm.
So have Tottenham. We lost the Carling Cup quarterfinal. We didn't have a striker in that game. We had Bowen, who was still struggling to play that role, and they had everyone fit. And I told everyone, if Harry Kane was injured, there's no way Tottenham played that game. They would have said, they would have passed it on in the squad. And David Moyes is too honest for his own good, and we went out the cup after knocking City United out, and now we're out the FA Cup anyway. So for me, we're slightly behind, mate, and it's all to do with the two windows. The players are all playing for the club, the fans, the manager, great bunch of people. But David, why would you risk losing Rice, upsetting Bowen, upsetting players who just need to be taken out the game 1 or 2 games? What's wrong with that? Our players are only getting rest after they get injured. When Bowen comes back, you're going to see even better player because he's rested in the wrong circumstances. You lose upsetting the momentum like that when you just. Of course they're going to run for you, but don't take the piss, mate, out of everyone as a good human being, which I think he's on the point of doing and upsetting everyone. So that's where I am, mate, is just slightly off it. And obviously what upsets me more is Tottenham could overtake us by the weekend. Arsenal already there. And then because of Wolves' win last game, they're only 2 points behind as well. And then you're looking at 8th, and it's a bit frustrating for me the way it started. Yeah.
So where would we need to finish in either Europa and or Premier League for us to be a success? Top six.
But again, it's below where we were last season and below when we hit the heights after Liverpool when we were third, and very much comfortable. It wasn't a fluke. It's on the back of another great season. So we hadn't done it in one. We've done it over 2.5 seasons under David, and 6 minimum. Whether that's enough to keep Rice. Rice keeps mentioning Champions League, and I'm only saying that because these last 2 seasons, you're never going to see an average United, Tottenham, Arsenal. That 4th spot was ours, mate. This season, I think this was a very good. Last season we should have done it. Somehow missed it, and the board didn't learn. The manager didn't learn. The scouting networks didn't learn, and. 6, we're scrambling for 6, mate. If we can hold off Spurs, and the thing is, next season. So these 2 windows, we've missed signing players when you're in Europa, and the likes of Spurs and Arsenal kind of not, and Villa are not, and Newcastle are not, and now you're going to go spend the money in the window, when clubs or players are going to be looking at Spurs, Arsenal, Newcastle, Villa, Everton, not so much perhaps, but. You've lost that advantage, you see.
You've alluded to, even in this conversation and on Twitter in the past and on your channel as well, how Moyes has frustrated you at times, whether it be tactically on the pitch or transfer activity or lack thereof, I should say. You recently on your channel had a little mock trial about.
Oh, that didn't go ahead yesterday because.
I saw that. Well, you were gonna have it, and you were basically gonna put Moyes on trial discussing a potential, well, if we don't make Europe this year and we start struggling next year because of a lack of signings, is Moyes going to slowly become at risk of losing his job? Can you elaborate on
Yeah,
that and
yeah,
sort of
sure.
explain to me a potential situation where Moyes doesn't finish out the calendar year as West Ham manager?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we had the Suchek debate, which again, funny enough, the defendants won, which meant Suchek. And thankfully, since that show, something's been said where he's playing in his usual position, mate. He's up there. He's forward. I'm very happy with him now. He's making the contribution. David Moyes. The question was, we get to November 2022, and we've had a poor transfer window or average. We haven't qualified in Europe, which means finishing seventh, which can easily happen. Do we sack him? That was the question. That we get to November, we haven't improved. The window, we're still doing the same mistakes, not bringing in the right players or enough. We're out of Europe. Do we say that he was the right manager at the time, which I was saying that at that time he was the best manager to bring in? But when you're looking for more ambitious plans, top four, winning trophies, I would say that we need a slightly different manager, perhaps a bit more of a younger, more creamier type of manager who's used to. So he would inherit a very good squad that are top seven, no problem. But he would have that extra bit to push the ball, to spend more money, and also to attract a better kind of player. I mean, Moyes is probably the oldest manager, one of the oldest left now, which is a fantastic thing to say about him. I respect him a lot, but I'm just being really critical because I just want our club to be that hated club that we. Because that's the thing. When you're top four, you've seen it. I see it on the pitch. Why they're top four? They're ruthless. They're
Mhm.
dirty. They're ruthless. Even Chelsea. How often do Chelsea change their managers? They've sacked Conte, and we were thinking, wow, they sacked Ancelotti. All these guys have won the league, and they got rid of him because you. I love that. I know it's bad, but I think we got to think like that. Thank you, David. You stabilised us, but if we think like Leicester, they won the league, they sacked the manager by next Christmas. They sacked him. If that Leicester guy, Claudio Ranieri, won the league with us, we'd have kept him on for 4 years. Would have never sacked him. It's different club mentality. I'm trying to change the mentality. So for me, we need that little bit, a little bit more. Because to be fourth, to be fifth, to be sixth and seventh, it's a big difference, and 10th as well.
So to clarify for anyone who does see this, it's you're not calling for Moyes to get sacked at this moment. What you're saying is that Moyes needs to show improvement and he needs to show it sooner rather than later.
One more
Otherwise, you would
window.
consider one more window.
One more window I'm going to give him because January, mate. I seriously, I never get stressed. I did that live. I think a 7-hour transfer deadline show on the channel. I was gobsmacked what was going
Seven
on.
hours. Oh wow.
I was shocked. This one going longer, and I said we got nothing to talk about, chaps. I might as well pull out early. I could not believe that what we did. It was embarrassing. I could not believe what we were doing.
I
It was
couldn't either. I wasn't expecting much because it's West Ham, but to not get one single body in was disappointing, frustrating, and in my opinion, inexcusable. But he needs, yeah, this summer window is
one
now
more
even
window,
bigger than ever. Yeah,
one more, and then you've could lose Rice. I got a feeling we didn't have money. I got a feeling we didn't have that money
yeah, I
that
don't
chap
think we
guy
do either.
gave. That went to repay their debts. We didn't
Yeah,
have any money, mate. Yeah.
no, and now Kretinsky, a big part of his wealth basically comes from Russian oil or the transport of
Oh,
Russian oil. So now you have those sanctions, and who knows how that's been affected. But um, nonetheless, Jess, we do have a match tomorrow, so I will wind this down. So since we're approaching 30 minutes, but before we do, I do want to ask you prediction.
all I said yesterday, mate, was I can say extra time. After that, I got stuck. I didn't know what to say because I hate predicting West Ham. My heart fights with my head.
Yeah.
So I felt that we were certainly would perhaps edge a 1-goal lead. Two would be difficult for me.
Hmm.
One, and then extra time. We are fairly fit, and if you're thinking of Yamalenko, Balasic, they haven't played a lot of football. I think we go out in extra time or penalties. I think.
I think we win in penalties. Mark Noble with the match winner.
I hope so. I hope so. I just think Sevilla got much more people on the bench, mate.
Yeah,
Much more craft, and much more. How can I say streetwise in Europe? They, 5, 6
yeah,
trophies. They know how to manage a game, and like someone said on the channel, my good friend Mike, they just do enough. Just do enough.
yeah.
y- You
Yeah,
know.
they've won this competition so many times for a reason, and sometimes that experience just sort of
Yeah.
pushes you over the edge. What I will say though is this: if we can defeat Sevilla and we make the quarterfinals, yeah, the draw, dependent upon the draw, we could win it all. Because if we can beat Sevilla, we can beat anyone in this tournament. It's possible. So we'll see. Either the dreams will fade and die, or they'll continue on. Jas, I just want to thank you so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
That's okay,
Um,
mate.
could you tell everyone who is watching where they can find your work?
Yeah, I'm running your own channel. It's called the West Ham Irons channel, so you can find me on there. Yeah, we do 3, 4 shows, but the difference with our channel is we try to do things like you, different to because it's a flooded market. There's
Yeah,
16 channels. So what we try to do, we focus on history channels. We went back to Green Street. Please watch it. It took 2 days of filming. It's over 3 parts, 1.5 hours of excellent viewing. As an example, we're going to be talking to people as an example who went to the 1980 final. I'm not going to talk about what happened on the pitch as much about what was it like back then? How did you
mm,
get your tickets? What happened on the day? Original stuff like
that's
that.
awesome.
That's coming in a couple of weeks. The courtroom you've seen. We got Free Amigos. We got so many, and I don't like to. What was it? Preview the games before the game. I like to look at them after they've happened. And I'm one of those, a bit like my good friend Nikki. I try to do things before the game, after the game, at the ground, live at
Yeah,
the ground. So that's all coming. So all different ideas, mate. But West Ham Irons channel is the one. So and hopefully you'll be on there in the coming days and weeks. So yeah, we're
yeah,
good.
would love to, man. Would love to. Really great chatting with you.
Brilliant.
And have
Cheers.
fun tomorrow. Yeah, cheer. I don't. It's still the work day for me, but yeah, cheers.
No problem.
Thanks, Jess. Really appreciate it, and
Take care.
talk soon, man.
Yeah, come on your irons tomorrow.
Come on, you
Hopefully,
lines.
take
All
care.
right, take care.